Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to Rabble Live at 5. It's normally your weekday Rangers news show, but I had a look. There is no real Rangers news kicking about out there. The only thing really is the fact that we're playing in a few hours. Yes, Braga. I was going to say on their way to Ibrox, Andrew, but they're already there. That would have been a bit of a silly statement, wasn't it? Yes, Rangers versus Braga in the Europa League.
Do you think if they don't turn up, we'd get the 3 points and the money?
Well, I mean, if they didn't, then I think we would be getting accused of something. You know?
Aye, probably.
But there we go. Yes, Braga at Ibrox tonight. Please get your comments in, folks. As I say, it's not your normal news show, so I'm more than happy to take as many questions as you can throw at us. If you are going to put a question in, please make sure and put a nice big capital Q at the start of your question so I can differentiate between a comment and a question. Now, as I said, I am joined by Andrew. Andrew, how are you?
I'm not too bad. As I said to you, I've got the man flu, but we all get that. So you bash on, didn't you? You
most certainly do. You most certainly do. Now, George, it's interesting that you asked that question, right? I was in all ready to go, and Andrew wouldn't shut up.
Here we go.
So
you kept asking me questions.
Andrew's fault the day that I'm late.
You kept asking me questions.
No, I did not.
Aye, you did, you liar.
No, you just thought I was asking you questions.
I refer the gentleman to the answer I gave some moments ago.
So, yes, by live at 5, do you mean live at 5:03? Andrew's fault. Andrew's fault.
Big enough chin. Big enough chin.
Yes. Andrew, now, as we've been asking this sort of all week about what we think about the game tonight, but as we get ever closer, just a few hours away, what's your thoughts and feelings about tonight's game?
I think, as we said, their stats are no as blinding as we think, but they're a good side. They're a strong side. They play quite a bit from the back and they're very strong in the middle. As I said to you, I think we're on the cards for a draw. I'd love the win. Without a doubt, I'd love the win. But as I said, a draw, a point, and hopefully we don't finish bottom of that league. And by getting some points on the board, we get some extra revenue in as well. But it's going to be a tough game, I think. And the big thing for me is what we're going to do at the back. I think we might go 5 with a view to pushing their outside men inside. And then we've got to hope that if we do score first, which I hope we do, we don't do what we normally do and give some stupid goal away 10 minutes later. If we can score and hold it, then...
Well, I mean, I normally think of Geordie as quite an intelligent man, one of your channel members, Andrew, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the game goes either way, realistically. That's football, is it not? But he's also missed out the fact there could be a draw in there. So, Geordie, mate, I'm not really too sure where you're going with that, my friend. But
so you're blaming Geordie for something now, then?
It's always, everything's Geordie's fault. Everything's Geordie's fault.
It's not just my fault.
In all seriousness, you're talking about the free at the back there, right?
Yeah.
If we get the numbers to play free at the back.
Well, I think we'll go 5, but if we go 3 at the back, we're going to have to be so strong in midfield.
Well, but but by 5, do you know? I mean, when I say free, Andrew, I'm including obviously.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying with the 5 is the 2 outside are like kind of wing backs that will play a wee bit higher up, in the hope of pushing their wide men inside, so that they come up against a bank of 3 in the midfield and a bank of 3 behind them. But it's up to the gaffer. He sees them every day. We don't. He knows with what he's got at his disposal tonight. He's got a plan, I would think, in his head. And we just hope that it transfers from paper to the pitch and we come away with a glorious result or a tidy draw to get a point.
In terms of that 3, 5, sorry. But your 3 central defenders, Andrew, who are you putting in there?
Well, that is the thing, isn't it? I think Tav's got to move into the centre. Fernandez, he's not played in Europe. Do you put him in? And then for the next space, who have we got that we can rely on? That's the scary bit for me. That is the scary bit for me. I mean, the only other option there is to go 3. But have we got the bodies in midfield to cope with that? And will they do enough to support the back 3? What we can't see is what happened with the goal we gave away against Livingston. There's no communication in the keeper in the back 3 or 4 or whatever they are. no talking to each other, and we're bundled up again. So, I'm glad I'm no the gaffer. That's all I'm saying, because his head must have been swimming the last couple of days, with the injuries and, certain people not doing what they could do. And I'm hoping after that mental press conference, as you rightly called it, I'm hoping Raskin will come out the night and show us what he actually is, that he may have moved a bit of pressure off himself, that I think was self-appointed in a lot of ways. I think he put it on himself in a lot of ways. He's made noises that he wants to say, etc. Well, he's got to go out and start proving that now, for me.
You don't hear press conferences like that much anymore. And
No.
and again, genuinely, and I said this to David Edgar last night, although he wasn't there for it. I said, I'm surprised one of the members of the Rangers media team didn't step in and stop that
Yeah, they
interview.
normally lean over the shoulder, don't they, and just have a wee word, or from the side shake their head, and but they've left them to it. So what does that tell us? They missed it, or are they letting that come out so that we get a wee inkling that everybody was unhappy with the Martin and Thelwell setup, and they've finally acted on it. We've been saying it. Time's come now that it's been acted on. It's got to be moved on. That's not going to be an immediate process. But I was shocked that he was allowed to say. He didn't say it in a digging out way, if that makes sense. He kind of placated it a bit, but he was fairly straightforward about what he was digging at, I think.
I mean, he made it very, very clear that there was a lot of wrong stuff said about him during the Martin time.
Yeah.
But again, and I'll repeat myself, Nico Raskin is in the Nico Raskin business, Andrew.
Of course he is.
He's there to look out, as every player should, right? That's not a dig.
Well, you'd do the same. I'd do the same. Yeah. Especially at his time of life. It might sound a daft thing to say, but he's got another 6 quality years in him before he's the wrong side of where he is now. So he's got to get the best for Nico Raskin. Well, we want what's best for our club. Now, he didn't leave a lot of room for manoeuvrability with what he said yesterday, no matter how he said it. And I think, as I said about the Finlay Curtis thing, I think a lot of players have felt that with Russell Martin. I hate harking back, because that's not the way you should ever go, really. But I think there was a lot more to what was going on behind the scenes than even we thought.
Well, he even got to the point, for people who haven't watched the Raskin presser from yesterday, he even got to the point, Andrew, where he just came out himself and explained how he left Standard Liège, which I thought was incredible.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. Not after this length of time. You'd have thought he'd have maybe said something a couple of months into his start at Ibrox, just to clear it up. But he seemed adamant he wanted that off his chest for whatever his reasoning is. Only he will know that. We don't know, do we? We can only surmise that he just wanted to clear his decks, i.e. Russell Martin, what's gone behind him. And maybe that's his way of telling us, I'm going to start focusing now and forget all this stuff before. Hopefully that's the case.
Well, what he also effectively said yesterday was, nobody's came to me to offer me a new deal, and I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for you to offer me that new contract. So he's kind of put that back onto Rangers, though.
Yeah, he said that before as well, I think, kind of in a roundabout way. But as Alan said the other night, when he played against Spurs, he ran that midfield. Against a team that, let's face it, and I'm not putting us down, against a team in a league that we shouldn't have been doing that. And he did it at ease. That was the bit. He didn't struggle to do it. He didn't look like he was labouring. He did it. He took control and he did it. And, if he wants to stay and we can get the Raskin we know we've got inside him, then I'm all for him getting another deal. But
well, on that, Andrew, right? Stuart's asking, has he earned a new contract?
No.
I don't think it matters whether he's earned a new contract or not. There's money to be made on him.
Yeah, so that's what I was just going to say.
Regardless of whether he's earned that new contract or not, if we give him a new contract, we get more money. End of.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. No, he hasn't earned it. But if we give him one, say another 2 years, then we're into the £25 million bracket if he plays like he can. Maybe plus. And as I said to you, outside the programme, these guys that are in charge of our club now are not mugs. No. Not by a long, long way. They are not mugs. You've only got to look at their track record, what they've done at 49ers, even at Leeds, what they've done behind the scenes. They know what's what, and they're not fools. And they won't let things like the Desser thing and the Igmana thing happen again, where players go out the door for really much less money than they should have done. And I think that's
you were telling me about what they done when they fought. I know Andrew Kavanagh's got the most say at Ibrox, right?
Yeah,
he's
got
the most amount of shares, the most amount of ownership, etc., etc. But you did say to me what they were doing when they first went in, when Parag first went into the 49ers.
Well, he did when he went into the 49ers in 2004. Their revenues were at 177 million. 2024, they're at 622 million. Now, on a match day, they get average crowds of 70,000 since they increased the stadium, and they get $21 million in ticket revenue alone. That doesn't include merchandise, parking, off-course events, sponsors events around the ground, etc., etc. That is solely ticket revenue, and on average, it's 21 million. Now, since 2004, that's a threefold increase nearly in revenue at the 49ers. And if you look at Kavanagh, as I told you, he's had Great Hill Partnership, which is run by the powers that be in America, if you want to call them that, the very rich people. And they pumped 80 million into his Pair 2 health company without blinking an eyelid because of his track record. Kavanagh's never had a business fail. Never.
Mm-hmm.
Not one. So these guys know what they're doing. And I think on this occasion, Maras had more of a say because of his experience at the 49ers.
And more of a say at Rangers, you mean?
Yeah, because of the match day stuff, because that's obviously something that they're crucially aware, I would think, that if you improve the match day experience, as I said the other night, by its very nature, that increases revenue. That increases the capability to improve the stadium and capacity. And by the dead nature of more money coming in, it improves the team on the park. Mm-hmm. And, these guys know. You've just got to look at it. It's out there to look at. These guys are not idiots. Certainly Kavanagh's not. Jesus. His track record is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And I didn't know he was Russian born either.
No, I didn't. Oh, no. See, now you've started it. Now there's going to be collusions and you were a Russian puppet of a club. And do you see what you've done, Andrew? Do you see what you've done?
You have to chuck a bum in the puddle now and again.
You do. But I mean, again, he's never really had a business fail, but he's made mistakes. But the one thing about Kavanagh is, and I think a lot of fans, I don't need to tell anybody this. I don't know anything that anybody watching this doesn't already know. But he learns from his mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, he had a company called Garnet Capital Services, which in its first 2 years, because he was rejigging it and, like he's doing at Rangers, I suppose, moving goalposts, putting new stuff in. A lot of money went by the wayside. People were employed. People were got rid of. It was, try, fit, doesn't he fit, get out, fix it, put somebody else in. And for 2 to 3 years, that's what that company did. But that's where he then made all his money to open Pair 2. Mm-hmm. So, these guys, they're not fools. And as I said the other night, they won't withhold money unnecessarily, I don't believe. No. But they're going to be cautious about how they do this going forward now. Because if they did give Thelwell and Stewart too much power, is that the right word? Too much say, they're not going to get caught in that square again. They're going to have an input way quicker than they possibly did previously. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the appointment of the next CEO. Definitely.
Well, Paul's put this one in. Why have we not had any American sponsors yet? I think that, to me personally, this is the way that I think it's going to go with him, Andrew. Right? And tell me if you agree or you disagree. This first season for me was always about fixing the product on the park, right? Which they've failed at so far, right? Mm-hmm. So January is going to be all about getting the right players in. It was always about making us more competitive again as quickly as humanly possible. They've now started to drip feed surveys for the stadium. There'll be loads of stuff going on inside Ibrox that we know nothing about. I don't think we're going to hear up, like we'll have sponsorships coming at the wazoo soon. But for me, I think the most pressing part when they first came in was to get a winning team on the park.
Yeah. The one thing Kavanagh said stateside, if it's to be believed, it's only on stateside socials and stuff. I have a cousin out there, so he put this my way, is that He looked at the park thing when he wouldn't advertise. I can't remember the car company he wouldn't advertise.
Cinch.
That's it. He said he wouldn't have done that because it doesn't matter what you're advertising. You can still put your board up next to it. Mm-hmm. He said, because that's 2 lots of revenue. He said, so all Donald Park did, in his estimation, was
Douglas
deprive
Park.
the club of income. Douglas Park, sorry. Or he deprived the club of income in a purely selfish basis. He said, and in business, no matter who you like or dislike, if they're going to give you money and it makes sense to have it, you take it and you work with them. You know, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future, because I would believe there are, you know, limited conversations taking place already with potential American sponsors. Who that is, we don't know. But I dare say there will be some
Vicodin
in the mix. Yeah, it's one of them.
Vicodin. Yeah. I was going to say something else. Something that Pele used to sponsor. We might get that in as well. Who knows? Who knows? Right, back to the game tonight then, Andrew. Let's have a wee look at Braga. Like you say, we had a wee look at kind of some stats and that before we came on. Look, they've scored 22 goals in 10 European games this season. That's including the qualifiers. You know, they've been beat by Genk. Rangers have won. I'm trying to find some positives here. Rangers have won 3 of their 4 previous European meetings with Braga. They've only lost 1. Although Horta for them's got more assists than any other player in the Europa League. They're a good team, Andrew, without being... I don't think they're the same Braga that the Rangers Steven Gerrard side beat. But we still have to respect them. And do we look much into the fact that they went to our rivals this year and beat them at home?
No, I don't think we do, personally. That's a different game, different team. You know, we are not privy to any of that. I don't really want to talk about them anyway, to be fair. But, you know, because I hate them with a passion.
Did we take anything from that game?
I think you could take from it that, you know, the 1-0 they won, wasn't it, if I remember rightly?
Was it 1 or 2? Was it 2-0? 1-0? 2-0? Something like that.
But I didn't think, you know, the highlights that I've seen of it, I didn't think that Braga were, you know, all out superb on the night. I actually think it was more to Celtic not being there at the races, to be honest. So we need that. As Alan said the other night, we need to come out digging and firing tonight. And it needs to go on for 90 minutes. Because as you said, they're not the team when Gerrard played them. I believe they are a little bit stronger in a lot of areas. But, you know, you have to give them credence because they've banged in goals. And, you know, we haven't. So, again, you move up front. It'll be interesting to see who he sticks up there tonight and how he does it.
Well, it's almost as if you can read my mind, right? Because the next point I was going to was that Danny Rule has come out and spoke about Chermiti in the lead up to this game. Yeah. And he said that he's ready to answer his critics. He also said it's the best that he has trained since Danny Rule's been at the football club.
Let's not go there because we heard all that from Russell Martin and Phil Clement.
Right. But
who's the other idiot? Pedro, you know, I mean,
what that says to me though, Andrew, is that either A, he's trying his best to build up Chermiti's confidence as much as humanly possible. Or B, he's starting the night. As you take a nice big gulp of what just.
I think he starts tonight. I think that's all about. And I think part of it is Danny Rule laying that out in the hope that Summit Ibrox won't get him the kids back from, you know, the get-go. You know, just leave him alone for 20 minutes. As I said the other night on the programme, that goal he did score, I mean, the way he did it, you know, drop of the shoulder, lost the fella, rattled it in from that distance. And he looked like there was absolutely no effort in it whatsoever. And I thought, this kid has got something. Somewhere in that locker.
Yeah, but you could also argue that that's an easy save for the goalkeeper.
Yeah, you could, but he didn't save it.
No, and he should have.
So obviously wasn't. Do you know what I mean?
Did you used to be a politician, Andrew?
Me? Can you imagine me being a politician? I'd get fired out of the house more times than any other politician in there, pal. Trust me. No, I think he starts. And I said before, I think to you on the morning rabble, I hope the kid, I've criticised him like others. I hope the kid doesn't, set the old blue touch paper up, and I hope he proves me totally wrong. And I hope by the end of the season he's got 12 or 15 goals and he feels a whole lot better about himself. But I think one thing Rule's doing behind the scenes, this is just a guess, he's making the pressure of that £8 million disappear.
He's trying. He's
definitely trying to put that pathway away from the boy. I don't want to dig up the old ground we've all been over, but it would be interesting to see if this investigation is going to take place, what comes out of that deal, because we can't do anything about it because the governing bodies authorised it.
Yeah.
The only thing we could do is if we prove that somebody benefited, in an unruly way.
Andrew, all we need to do is wait until Kevin Thelwell becomes a sporting director at another club and he'll buy you, mate.
A bit of luck, yeah, but we won't get £8 million for him, I'll tell you that now. Not at the minute.
No, but what was it Everton paid for him? Was it 15?
I can't remember. I think it was about 12 or 15, something around that.
Say it was 12 and we paid 8.5, rising to 10. Yeah. So if we can sell him for 6, then we're on to a winner.
Well, at least we get a chunk of it back. That's the main thing. And to be honest, if we have to sell him for that, and he has bagged 10 goals before he goes, then that's the other 2 million paid, really.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way to look at it, I suppose. But we'll see what happens tonight, won't we?
We most certainly will.
As I said the other night, I hope he leaves his caravan in the car park. I really do. I know he didn't play a lot in Spain, so he's got that. He was chucked straight in on signing, but he's a professional footballer.
Yeah.
He's a professional footballer. That's his living. He should be ready for it if he's fit at any given time.
Listen, it took me 2 weeks and at 5s, and then see the third week, I was like shit off a shovel. I was like lightning. So I was.
Really?
It only took me 2 weeks to get myself fit.
Yeah.
Should have seen it. Everybody stopped to watch me.
You can see the amazed look on my face, can't you?
Yes, everybody stopped to watch me as if he really shouldn't leave the house. Right, Janet.
If I'd have known you were playing for your third week, I'd have rushed up, driven up and got your autograph.
Would you have? Janet's asking, do you think Curtis will start?
No.
I don't think so, Andrew. I really don't think so.
As I said Tuesday, I think what they're going to have to do with Curtis now, he's in the same Russell Martin scenario, that he was treated poorly. It's knocked him back mentally a little bit, if you know what I mean. Then he carried a knock. He needs to be getting the 20, 30 minutes to build him up, get him back to level. And I think Danny Rule's the guy to do that for him. I think Rule likes him from some of his comments, but because he's not had a lot of game time for whatever the reason, it's you can't just expect a boy to go on the park 90 minutes and do it when he's been desperate to do it, because he'll just run around like a headless chicken potentially. So you've got to calm him down, same as they're doing with Chimiti, I suppose, for a different reason, the money one. Calm him down, settle him down, encourage him. No matter how bad or whatever, just take him to the side and say, don't worry, it's going to come, it's going to come. And the point will come where it will come or it won't, and then decisions have to be made. With Curtis, I think he's desperate to play for us and prove to us as fans that he's got something to give us, and I believe he has.
Also, as our good friend William from RFC Youth Updates, amazing experience for Luca Rankin travelling with the squad to Ibrox. That is, of course, for people saying Rankin, I know that name. That is, of course, John Rankin's son, the current Hamilton manager. I know Luca's been doing really, really well for the under-19s, Andrew, and we have done this with players in the past, bringing the under-19s. Look, he's not going to get on the park.
No.
But he's in and around the first team squad. He's seen how the first team act on game day. He's in and around, gaining that experience. The next step for us is just bringing one of them onto the park.
That's right, yeah. The big thing for him is he also gets the atmosphere, doesn't he? Of Ibrox on a European night as well, because I remember going to the Man United game at Ibrox years ago, and the bloody noise was absolutely phenomenal. It was phenomenal. So as a 19 or an under 19-year-old kid, if you're in the first team squad and you're not getting on, you're going to be stood in that tunnel, an hour before the game, like, Jesus, this is
zero pressure, by the way. Also, your experience and all that with no pressure.
Yeah, I mean, that's, as you say, that's what we need to start doing. And also, the academy really needs to start producing players at a more phenomenal pace than it's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and some of the players that we've had and we've let go, I still can't get my head around it. Really can't. I know a few of them had problems and whatever, but there was players there we let go that I think had a future with us, and we let them go. And I hope that changes. What's happening with the guy that was going to come for Wolves? Has that been Kai Boschner?
There's all sorts of rumours flying about, Andrew, and I don't know what's true and what's not true. There's all sorts of rumours flying that it might be getting cancelled. Now, to be fair, Farewell has basically employed about 17 million people that he knows into the football club, and his boy's still there. Andrew Cavan has come out and says that everybody that's here right now has got a chance to prove that they deserve to be here. Yeah, okay. That to me says that there's going to be more people out the door sooner rather than later. We don't know. They might not. They might. I don't know.
Yeah, they might not. But that is a normal businessman's way of saying I'm still going to make changes.
Yeah.
Because at the minute it'll keep people looking over their shoulders constantly, and they'll think if they've got any brains, they'll be thinking, right, I've got to be on my A game every day. Every day I've got to be on my A game.
Well, if you look at Norwich right now, he made some superb signings for Norwich, didn't he? I will say, Paul, from what I know, because I haven't seen much, I look at sort of central midfield.
Yeah, he's left centre, I think.
Central midfield, defensive midfield, that type of area that he plays in. Cracking wee player, by the way. Absolutely.
He looks strong for a youngster as well when you see him play.
Yeah,
he does look strong on the ball.
Yeah, he's not the tallest either. But then Finlay Curtis wasn't the tallest, and he just shot up. So
he's taller than you.
No, because I'm taller than you.
You're 5'3". He's 5'6". Easy.
I'm 5'8 3/4.
You must be sitting in a trench then, like Frodo.
Yes, I'm 5'8 3/4. And he's technically very good central midfielder as well. He says
he is indeed.
He is very, very, very good. Right, Andrew, who would you? We'll finish up shortly because by the way, folks, we're starting a new show tonight across on the members. It's the match day coverage. So you have your build up, you've got your watch along, you've got your halftime analysis, you've got your second half build up, and then you've got a reaction straight after it. All put in to the one show that'll be available for members. That kicks off at 7:15 tonight over on the Rabble membership page, the Rabble Network. The links for that are in the description now. If you want to come and join us for your match day experience rather than watching the build up on the telly, you can come and watch the build up with us and get halftime analysis for us. Because as I have proved to everybody, I know so much about football. So people are jealous of my football knowledge. Actually, Andrew, you look away. Who would you like to see?
I heard the noise in the garden, mate. I thought it was a fox.
I'll answer this quickly for Scott as well. Sorry, where does it say there is an investigation into the Chermiti transfer? It doesn't. It's rumours.
Yeah.
So that's what Andrew said. Rumours. It's rumours into. Yeah. But like I said, there's loads of rumours flying about now because of the timing of the sackings and all that sort of stuff. So there's always going to be rumours. And I won't speak for you, Andrew, but I believe you said if it's true.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I mean, they said an investigation. I don't know who put it out there. If there is one, as I said a minute ago, there's not much we can do unless we can physically prove that somebody illegally benefited from that transfer at both clubs.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's
a big if.
I don't think you'll ever find that out, because if they did, and I'm saying if, because it's alleged, only alleged, then it would never be on a contract. It would never be in a bit of paper. It would be in an envelope, wouldn't it? Yeah. So you're never going to prove anything. But
5'9".
It's alleged that there's an investigation of some description going on.
Arlene's at it as well. 5'9" with his slippers on. Well, maybe.
Don't start him with his slippers. I'll have nightmares. Jesus, I had them last night when he started with David Edgar.
But listen, I'll have you know David wants to know where I got them. So I might have converted another. Paul Martin, what was the name that was picked for Alex's new show? Is High Tower Hijacks Your Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the Rabble Network every week.
He blames you for picking that, by the way.
Yes, well, actually, I'd wanted to call it something else.
And I just want to point out, you said you weren't making the decision to me.
I know Alex made it. He picked it. I'm just following his wishes. And
It's my fault, Geordie's fault, and Alex's fault then.
Yes, it's all your fault. It's
Okay,
never my fault. I'm the
I
boss.
get
It's
where
never
we're
the boss.
going.
It's never the boss's fault, Andrew. Never
I
the
get
boss's
where
fault.
we're going now. Yeah, I get
Yes.
this. Now, yeah.
Pezza, I have to say, my friend, your fourth top is on the way. So you should get it.
And you'll enjoy
Probably
it because
not.
my grandson loves it.
Good.
Absolutely loves it.
Andrew won that, by the way, before he became a contributor on the Rabble, because if you're a contributor on the Rabble, you can't win giveaways. But Pezza is on its way, mate, and I hope you enjoy. And
I've actually got one for you, Martin, that I'll tell you about privately.
Right, well, okay then. That sounds ominous. Right, before we go, Andrew, before we go.
Merch that I'm just clearing out, and I'm not going to say anything about it because you'll decide how it will be given away and whatever. And I was going to set a question, but I think people would struggle to get it, to be honest.
You probably with your questions, but then you're about 97 years old, so you know.
Excuse me, I'm not 97 till 2029. Thank you.
Well, there we go. That's not that far away, right, Andrew? Let's get finished up, shall we? Who is there one player you specifically want to see tonight?
I want to see Raskin do what Raskin can do. That's what I want. The rest, if Chamiti starts, I hope the boy does well. I really do. I don't wish any of our players any harm. I said the other night when I said a draw, I don't like going against the team. I want to say victory all the time. But we've got to be at it today. And Raskin can be a lot of that if he does what he did against Spurs, for instance. I know that was a friendly, so it is kind of different. But if he does that, if we can be tight at the back, which does worry me, I've got to be honest, and we can hold the ball a bit better because we're just not doing so well holding it, and we need a better supply to the strikers or
Very
strikers,
so.
whichever way we go. And if we get little bits of that, then I see us sneaking a win. I see us sneaking it, but it'll be close.
As Paul's asking you there, then what's your midfield tonight?
I would say Raskin. I've got to be careful here, haven't I, really? Cameron, is it Cameron? And I'm not sure on the other one. I'm dithering on the other one because I think he's going to go with 3 in the middle. Could well be totally wrong. I don't know.
Diamante?
I was thinking that, but would he drop him in there because he can't play him central? Not really if he's got Raskin in there. So I would only see Diamante fitting on the left. Would Connor Barden come in?
Possibly. But we'll find out in a couple of.
I think if Barden's there, Raskin's then got to, and I hope people take this the right way, Raskin's then got to own Barden and make sure he's not running out of place and talk to him and guide him because Barden's got so much to offer us.
He does. He really does. He does.
We'll have to wait and see, as you say, a couple of hours from now, what goes out there.
Well, we should probably find out in just about an hour, and I will promise you, Andrew, we'll finish up on this. How about Sterling for a short time? I would be amazed if he sees a minute of action tonight, Andrew. Because
I don't think
the report I got for the academy game was he's nowhere near it.
No, and he's been out for what is it, 6 months?
6 months, yeah, run about that.
I'm sorry, but when you've had an injury like that, even if you're not a first-class athlete, you take a long time to get better and heal, and then you lose muscle, you lose flexibility. That takes working on. Doesn't happen overnight. It takes weeks and weeks sometimes. And if he goes out there and he tears something or pulls something, then we've lost him again for another 8 months. I don't think he'll risk him tonight. Again, remains to be seen. But I don't think he'll risk him.
I would be amazed if he risks him. I really would. Andrew, mate, thank you very much. The first show that we've done together. I appreciate that, mate.
It is. We're on later, aren't we?
We are. We're on the match day coverage, Andrew. That's what we're on.
We are indeed, yes.
Which is available if you are a member, which you can be now. Just click the links in the description. Please don't forget also to like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Hello to everybody watching. I don't know why I'm looking at my other screen, but hello to everybody watching on Patreon, and of course everybody watching on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, please make sure you're following and give it a wee retweet and a like, or X, or whatever you want to call it. Like I say, we are back tonight at 7:15.
And don't forget, Martin's never wrong.
Never.
Martin's never wrong.
So don't forget,
Sorry,
we're back at
sorry.
7:15 tonight for
Sorry.
full match coverage. What was Andrew's question going to be? In order to find that out, you need to tune in tonight at 7:15.
Absolutely.
There we go. So Andrew, thank you very much. Everybody
No problem, mate.
watching, thank you very much. I better not put that outro in there. People might get a wee bit annoyed at me. And we shall speak very, very soon.